Had to boss up on my own. Danny Ray was a stunner. I was in the back of the comer, just a little younger. On the block trying to get it in the summer. Running with the gunners. Till I got caught with the burner and took me downtown for some questions. Ain't no rat in me, get me stepping. They put me in the jacket. Like Dumbo. Made it out the condo. And now I live humble. God, if you change me, I'ma go a hundo. God, if you change me, I'ma go a hundo. You cannot stop me. Like I'm gonna read out the comments, stacking my commas. You could not stop me. I'm going Cosby. The fall on the comments, I'm spitting like llamas. Gonna read out the comments, stack on my commas. I stack on my commas. You cannot stop me. I'm going Cosby. The fall on the comments, I'm spitting like llamas. Gonna read out the comments. Got God at the center. Lord, I need help because I know I'm a sinner. Tell me that I'm winning. Get knocked down, but I come back contending. I'm on a mission. Putting my bulls in position. Might through a clinic. I'm fully authentic. I start what I finish. I said it, I made it, and it's not a game. Too many people in need of his name. He on the throne, they want you to change. Do me a favor and put some respect on his name. I do the same. Stay in my lane. I'm a line of tame. Ain't looking for fame. I was for gold. I'm rocking with haters who know how to go. Busting out scriptures. I get in the wisdom. I need to go get it. I'll pay attention. Get all the hating up out of your system. Never would have made it. Man, I got a juice from the 80s. 16, man, had a baby. God had a plan, but he can't save me. Never would have made it. Man, I got a juice from the 80s. 16, man, had a baby. God had a plan, but he can't save me. Stop me. I'm going Cosby. The fall of my commas, I'm spitting like llamas. Gonna read out the comments. Stacking my commas. Stacking my commas. You cannot stop me. I'm going Cosby. The fall of my commas, I'm spitting like llamas. Gonna read out the comments. Stack on my commas. I stack on my commas. You cannot stop me. I'm going Cosby. No falling like commas. I'm spitting like llamas. Don't read out the comments. Stack on my commas. Oh yeah, that's how it is. Yo. This is Myron Pierce. You just heard Cosmic from Myron Pierce. I did that a couple years ago, and I just kind of been floating it around a little bit, and people kind of like it. So shout out to Triune Beats, Jay Keys, Flame Classic, Paradise Studios. You got me. I'm a writer. I'm an artist. I'm a Renaissance man. And finally, I've gotten over the fact that it's okay to be a Renaissance man. You think about people like Da Vinci and Michelangelo and all those guys. All them guys like had different things going on because they were trying to express fully who they really were and the gifts that they wanted to bring to the world. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I made this statement about potential. And I said, it's a shame that there are so many people who die with so much potential on the inside of them. And I heard it said like this by Miles Monroe. He said that the richest place on earth is not the White House or the trap house. The richest place on earth is the graveyard, because people die without fully realizing, actualizing their potential. And so here we are today. I'm back. It's been a couple weeks. Back on the Big Fish show on 95.7 The Boss, the Burbs, the Bluffs. And I want to say welcome if you are joining me by radio on 95.7, if you're joining me live on 95.7 or on any of my streams. I just want to thank you for being here. And if this is your first time, you may be saying, what in the world is the Big Fish show all about? A couple years ago, I had this moment where I started thinking about our city, our culture, and this phrase would just come to my mind, right? This phrase would come to my mind, and the phrase was, give a person a fish, you feed them for a day, teach them how to fish, you feed them for a life. And something inconsistent about that really shook me, because I just felt like that mantra was missing something and has been missing something for years. And it came to me in this just eureka moment where it was like, it's not about just teaching a person to fish, showing them how to fish. That has to do with charity and development, but real empowerment in communities like mine goes much further, to the extent of what I would call owning the pond. And so when you join me every single week, it's that you would leave inspired about how you can take ownership of your life, how you can unpack, unleash, unlock your potential, whether it's in life, whether it's in business, whether it's in relationships, whatever it is. My goal is to make sure that you are held accountable to the fact that you are amazing. You're all that in a bag of chips. Life is better because of you. The world needs you. There's no one like you. If you're breathing, in the words of my good friend Mama Tila, shout out to Mama Tila. If you're breathing and have a belly button, you're a miracle. If you're breathing and have a belly button, you are a miracle. And just being in this space today, I want to give a special shout out to William King for allowing me an opportunity again to be back in the studio with you. I'm excited. I missed the 95.7 The Boss show. And you may be wondering, what in the world happened to you? How and where you at? Well, I didn't just fall off, the planet. Something very, very crazy happened to me just a little bit over a month ago. I had just recently, dropped my son off for baseball and decided that I had, a few opportunities to I just had an opportunity to walk my dog, right? And so I get out there, I'm walking my dog, and, a vehicle passed me, and I look up, and after they passed me, I thought nothing of it. And then after, I don't know, maybe a minute, I look up, and the moment I look up, I get shot in my face. All I see was this fire coming from this gun barrel, and it literally hit me in the face. It went through my left nostril, and the bullet came out of my right cheek and destroyed my septum, I think they call it. I hope that's right. And hit my shoulder about a half inch below, just missing the bone, and grazed me on the back. And I look back at that day when that event occurred, after getting shot and running for my life, and finally making it to a home where someone comes out of the house and says, "Oh my God, you arrived at the right house." And this woman just began to pray for me, and another young lady calls the police and the ambulance, and they were there in the nick of time. And I got out, and my life was spared by God. You are looking at a miracle. You are listening to a miracle. And so my good friend William King got in touch with us, and within 12 hours, I was on the radio show. I was on the radio station, 95.7 The Boss, giving a stinking interview within 12 hours of nearly losing my life. And I don't know if you've ever had a near-death experience or if you've ever been close to death, but it is nothing nice to have your life flash before you. And as I'm on the hospital bed, literally in the emergency room at UNMC, with over 50 doctors and students, from neurosurgeons to anesthesiologists to nurses, to you name it, they're there. And I'm like, this just feels nothing short of a movie. How did I end up here? How, after 40 plus years, how, after nearly 20 years of being out the street and serving the local Omaha community and traveling the country and starting innovation and entrepreneurial hubs in places like South LA, Colorado Springs, Kansas City. Um, Gosh, where else? Colorado Springs, Kansas City, South LA. I'm missing one. Omaha, Nebraska. Seeding other grounds in the country, preparing the country for entrepreneurial movement in urban communities. And I'm thinking about this as I'm laying in the hospital bed. I'm just for a moment just took the posture of a victim, and I'm like, I cannot believe this is happening to Myron Pierce. Have you ever been there before? Where something happens to you that was outside of your control, right? You're running a company, you're doing your very best, you're putting one foot in front of the other. It's interesting because the week I was shot would have been the 2-year anniversary of my crash out where I was diagnosed with bipolar type 1. And so here we are 2 years later, and I'm going through this traumatic event again. And I'm just thinking, what in the world is going on with my life? And so you fast forward to those 12 hours, and I'm on the phone with William King, and I had my lady call in to the radio station. And all I can remember saying at the end of the interview is, I forgive you. See, when I was laid up in that hospital bed, thinking about, man, who in the world would have done this to me, and why would they have done this to me? And maybe you're thinking the same thing. Maybe something has happened to you. Maybe things haven't gone your way, and you're just ready to throw your hands in the air and say, F it. I've been there, man. Just a month ago. Been there when I was bankrupt on being bipolar, and went through it when I was facing 200 years in the penitentiary, ended up getting a 16 to 33 year sentence, and been in the system for over 20 years of my life, and growing up in the home that I grew up in. See, anybody could ask those questions. Why me? Why did this happen to me? How is this going on? And I tell you this, that's human. It's very human. In fact, if you're not asking those questions, like something is wrong. You know what I'm saying? If you're not asking those questions, you're very, very human. But I want to encourage you to tap into those 3-letter words that I said, because I thought it was very, very important in that moment to get this message out to the community. Not because the community needed it, but also that I needed it, because I know how toxic it is to hold on to something. When something outside of your control happens and you feel like you've been violated, or maybe your business isn't going the right way, or somebody hating on your business, or somebody hating on your organization, or maybe there's conflict going on in your relationships, or maybe you started out with this dream and it's like you feel like it's you against the world. You can't get any support, and you can't get support from family, you can't get support from friends, and you're just ready to throw your hands up. Listen, man, I'm telling you, I've been there. I know what that's like. But I want to just have a conversation with y'all today on when to use the F word. When to use it. Myron, you about to cuss. No, I'm not about to cuss. See, I got you. It was just clickbait. I needed you to see it. I needed you to hear it. That every one of us need to be using the F word. When something happens to you, my friend, I'm here to tell you the first words after you experience your human experience where you're like, why me? You have to lean into the F word. Myron, what do you mean? When I was online on the radio with my friend William, I told everybody, and specifically the person or whoever shot me, I said, I forgive you. And the reason why I want to talk about when to use it is, the reality is this: forgiveness is not about letting people off the hook. It's not about people not taking responsibility for your actions. Here's what it's about. It's about freeing yourself to stay within the boundary lines of your purpose. Let me say that again. It's about freeing yourself to stay within the boundaries of your purpose. Myra, how could you say that? The moment whoever shot me, the moment that happened, I had a decision to make. I had a friend tell me one time, Myron, you're unique, but you're not special. You're an individual. There's no thumbprint like yours in the world. But get off your high horse and recognize that everybody is going through something. I love this quote: "Be kind, because you don't know what anyone is going through." And when I talk about freeing yourself, it's one of the most liberating things. And freedom through forgiveness doesn't mean that you won't have to daily conquer your fear, daily go back to the drawing board, forgive again. It's about the fundamental understanding that forgiveness has yet and never will be about letting people go free, but it's about you going free. And I know something about freedom. After spending nearly 20 years in the system, when you're not free, you miss what you had. And I can remember one of the very first times I got arrested, and beyond getting arrested, to be convicted. Because when you're convicted of a crime, typically there are benefits, or how do I want to say it? There are liberties that are taken away from you because you did not steward your citizenship correctly, and rightly so, right? The things that I was caught up in as a kid and the things that I was doing to hurt people required me to take accountability. It required me to take accountability for that. And liberties were taken away. And it's the same thing when you think about if you're going to forgive someone or not, because unforgiveness will take away your liberties. It'll take away your liberties. It doesn't, it'll, when you don't operate in forgiveness, it places the focus on the perpetrator. It places the focus right smack dab on the person. All of a sudden, you become imprisoned to that person because you're constantly. Another way that I think about this is that forgiveness. I heard it said like this. It's pretty cliche, but it's forgiveness is like drinking poison and hoping the other person pays for it and dies. And I don't know if you've ever been in debt or anything, but unforgiveness literally says, "Pay me what you owe me." And so when I was saying 12 hours after being shocked, everybody's like, what in the world? He must relapse. Something must be happening. How in the world could he say, "I forgive you"? I had to. And until you and I see forgiveness as something that we have to do, we'll always stay within the bounds of being bound instead of freeing ourselves to stay within the journey of our purpose. I have a good friend. His name's Josh Dosler. And he talks a lot about purpose. And it's interesting, purpose is important because without purpose, you're not living. Think about that. Without purpose, you and I are not living, we're merely existing. Forgiveness is not about letting people off the hook. It's about freeing yourself to stay on your purpose. And if we're going to use the F word, when necessary, because the F word, forgiveness, is always necessary when someone has violated, when someone has transgressed, when someone has done something to hurt you, or someone has done something outside of what's normal. But in that moment, it's necessary because unforgiveness is a chain that keeps you and I locked up. Man, I know something about being locked up. I remember not the first time, but the second time I went to the penitentiary. And I went to the big house after this. I had gone to juvenile prison the first time around, and here I am going up there with the big guys. And at that time, The Lincoln Correctional Center was called the Gondo. Imagine that if you're listening right now. Imagine going to a prison. At that time, Tecumseh hadn't been built yet. NSP was still a medium security facility. Lincoln Correctional was a maximum security and supermax prison. They put the supermax guys in the hole. Okay, so I'm just a kid. I'm like 18 at the time. I'd done a bid at 16. So here I am, a repeat offender, and I'm heading back into the penitentiary. And I'm just scared as HE double hockey sticks. I'm going to the Gondo. Let me say that again. That sounds scary. I'm going to the Gondo. You know what I'm saying? Locked up. And if you don't know anything about prison, it's all about uniformity. So, as soon as you get there, everybody know you coming. They're gonna put you in some khakis. They're gonna give you the bare minimum. They're gonna give you, they're gonna give you toothpaste. They're gonna give you a little short toothbrush. They're gonna assign you a bunk mate. They're gonna assign you a prison room. They're gonna tell you when to eat. They're gonna tell you where to work. They're gonna tell you everything is uniformity. They're gonna tell you when you can have a visit. They're gonna tell you when you can get your hair cut, when you can go work out, what classes you can attend, what classes that you have to attend. All that was done under the auspice of being locked up because I had relegated my freedom to another by not stewarding my citizenship. And that's what happens when we operate in unforgiveness. We give over our power. We allow ourselves to be controlled. We allow ourselves to yield to uniformity. We allow ourselves to yield to being a chameleon to pacify the rules of the people that are keeping us bound. And that's what happens with unforgiveness. It is a chain. There's this illustration about how they tame elephants. They start when they're just a little baby. What they'll do is they'll take this chain and they'll put like a chain on the ankle of the elephant, and then they'll put a stake in the ground. And they'll keep that stake in the ground. It's probably about 5-10 feet, and the baby elephant can go no further than the 10 feet. And they do that to tame them. Then, as they grow older, in the mind of the baby elephant, the chain, although removed as an adult, is never removed from the adult elephant's mind, because it has been psychologically chained up to its past. And that's what happens when we don't forgive. We are psychologically chained to the person that we do not forgive. And that happens in business, that happens in life, that happens in relationships. Listen, let's go a little step further. That happens with our very selves. And I'm gonna keep it a buck. Sometimes the hardest person to let go and to free, so that one could stay within their purpose. One could kill it in business. One could kill it in life. One could make a difference in this generation. Is forgiving yourself, man. Because we have to live with us, right? We have to live with our mistakes, our bad decisions, our indiscretions. We have to live with all of that. And sometimes that doesn't feel good to us. And so we cage ourselves. And when we cage ourselves to unforgiveness, then all manner of evil ends up leaking out of our lives. Again, forgiveness is not about letting people off the hook. It's about freeing yourself to stay on your purpose. And if you're going to stay on your purpose, you got to make sure that you're not chained to the person that you have not forgiven, or you're not chained to the culture that you're not forgiven, or the organization, or whatever it is, the situation, the circumstance. But secondly, forgiveness is not for the other person. You've heard this before. It's for you. It's for your peace. It's for your paper. It's for your progress. Did you know unforgiveness can stop your paper trail? Unforgiveness can stop you from building a bag because it thwarts you and I. It thwarts it thwarts our focus. It thwarts it. And so if you find yourself without peace, if you find yourself where the bag is getting low and it doesn't seem like you're making any progress whatsoever, I would check my forgiveness meter. Where is it at? Be honest. Be honest with yourself. Where is it at? Unforgiveness is this: it's carrying resentment, delays your destiny. Think about that. When we operate in unforgiveness, carrying that delays where we're going. My question is this: where do you want to go in the next 30 days? Where you want to go? Where do you want to go? Because it's very easy to go inward on unforgiveness at the expense of aborting your destiny. You and I cannot afford the luxury of carrying the dead weight of unforgiveness. Unforgiveness is like putting a body on you and carrying it around all day, and it's that person's body who you have unforgiveness in your heart towards, that I have unforgiveness in my heart towards. And as I sat on the hospital bed, I knew that this was going to mess up my soul. Oh, Myron, you're a super saint. How in the world could you forget? Don't let me fool you. Because when that bullet hit my beautiful face, man, listen, I'm GQ, I'm beautiful, I'm fine as wine, I'm amazing, I'm all that in a bag of chips. I look good. I had piercings in my ears, my nose. Listen, I was just had it all going on, all walking my dog, and all of that, like all that physical stuff, just like boom, taken in that moment. But you know what? As I look in the mirror every day, although all the swelling has gone down, the stitches are out, there's still swelling going on. There's still things that are going on in my mind psychologically. There's still fears that I have when I get out of my car and at night, or there's a car going by that's slow. I'm still processing all of that. I'm still going through all that. And it doesn't mean, when you forgive somebody, that you don't have to still work through your junk, dog. Listen, I am working through this because I look myself in the mirror and I'm like, sometimes I go back to why me, and I get PO'd and I get frustrated and I'm like, man, I can't believe this, because I feel like it's a setback. And how you frame your story, and how you and the narrative that you give your story, and how the story that you're telling yourself when someone does something to you really does matter. You and I don't deserve the luxury of carrying that type of dead weight around. I know this is heavy today, and I'm gonna be heavy in your face for a couple weeks and maybe for a couple years, but this is really the recipe for your success. You're like, man, why isn't my bottom line growing? Why aren't the customers coming in? Why isn't this relationship working? Why doesn't it seem like I'm getting to where I need to be in life? I would check to see if you have unforgiveness in your heart. Myron, what? This is the Big Fish show. What are you talking about? What are you What are you talking about for unforgiveness for on an entrepreneurship pot? Listen well, please. Your inner life, if it doesn't match your outer life, will eventually catch up to you. My lady um, is the number one CMOS in the world, in my opinion. 12 locations, tons of distributors. she told me, she tells me a lot. She says, Myron, everything that I do in my business, this is so hard. I'm gonna have her on again because we miss this. We think we just out to get a bag. If your purpose is to get a bag, you're gonna always be miserable, my friend. If your purpose is just to make a lot of money so that you can live well, listen, that is a life unlived. She's told me this a couple times, Myron. I have to be in my purpose. If my energy is not right, if what's going on inside of me is not right, then it's gonna affect. And she's like, Myron, I have to stand in my purpose. And I wanna encourage y'all with that word. Like, you have to stand in your purpose. You have to stand in it. That's why this unforgiveness piece is so huge, because it can derail you from your purpose. My friend, I don't want you to deviate from your purpose, because the moment you deviate from your purpose, you truncate your potential, you castrate your potential, you lessen your potential. You and I can't really tap into our true power and our true essence. And I'm so thankful to have friends around me to remind me of my purpose, to remind me. I'm telling you, man. I'll be honest. Can I can I can I be honest with the Big Fish Show, powered by 95.7 The Boss? I didn't know if I wanted to come back to the radio station. I didn't know. I said, man, I got shot. My face don't look right. I'm stuffy. I'm not really up to it. You see what I started doing? Building a new narrative that was unhealthy because of what I've gone through over the last month. You see how that works? What story, in light of unforgiveness, of why you can't forgive somebody, or why you can't move forward, or what justification as to why you haven't succeeded, or why you're not carrying on with your milestones, have you been affected or infected by unforgiveness? I want you to think about that. We're going to take a quick break to listen to some music. I know that this is really, really heavy, but after we come back from the break, I want to give you some real time next steps on what you and I can continue to do. I know I play this song a lot, but I think that it's important for me to play it. It's by my friend CEO, and it's called Bud Crawford. Pay attention to this. Uh-oh, it's not that. Hold on, my friends. I'm sorry about that. Oh. It's definitely not it. There we go. CEO, feel like I'm Bud Crawford. Hey, if you want to send in your music, send it to thisisus@ownthePondnetwork.com. Let's get you on the air. Let's share your talent. CEO, y'all. think twice. Real love trying to find my wife. They real sweet like Mike and Nike. Girl tell me to be alright. Most of my life I had to sacrifice. Push me, don't get hit with the smoke on like flashlight. I feel like fuck, making up and put my city on. In the hood often. No, I can't relax without my phone. Got my name on the street. Come down my block, you know I own it. Tell my little streets, girl, I got block, they be the phone. Making up and put my city on. In the hood often. No, I can't relax without my phone. Got my name on the street. Come down my block, you know I own it. Tell my little streets, girl, I got block, I feel like blood across the line. Fight to feed my kids, fight to get rich. To love my witness, I feel like blood across the line. Range leader, that's nothing. I'ma get that dough, and I'm coming back for more. I feel like blood across the line. Damn, I miss my dogs up in yeah. I'm just trying to live and stay away from coffee. Yeah. Fight just the wind, got me steady by. Product of the streets, I had to weigh my eyes. So I had to branch out, put my man down, fought the same trials, by the same crowd. Got the bands now, you got your hands out, ran the same route. I switched up, you ran out, I'm touchdown, you bailed out. CEO, y'all. Remember how we was days, we was church time. Remember back in them days, paid our church time. How far ahead you came with determination. The Fed trying to get it. Shawty know she fine, but it's back in the basement, man. Sitting on top of the world, I am not afraid. Sitting on top of the world, no, I am not afraid. I am the champ, like blood coffee. I feel like blood coffee. CEO, y'all. Hey. You know. Come on, y'all. CEO, I feel like Bud Crawford. Hey man, it's so interesting. After I got shot, so I think I looked in the mirror and I said, man, at least I didn't look like Spence. At least I didn't look like Spence, right? Hey, y'all, check this out. Coasting. I float like a butterfly. Come on, y'all. This that cosmic, y'all. I mean that coasting by Myron Pierce. Check it out. I call it real golden. I ain't no self-promotion. Don't be going through the motion. Swag wet like the ocean. Block and hate, I'm a goalie. Net worth is explosive. Devil can't hold me. God said he chose me. That's what his man told me. Baby in the Audi posted. Get your hood in the moment. Trapping was a hobby. Drill team was my favorite. Spiritual is my flavor. I made one for me. I'm the last of my kind. Need for a sign. My pride in the casket. Jesus is the captain. I'm making big transactions. Bringing peace to the faction. Man, I'm safe, but refrain from distractions. I be coasting. That is my emotion. Ollie in the ring. I float like a butterfly. Stay like a bee. I can only be me. So give me 50 feet. Stop that foul. And I'm Curry at the free throw. I ain't most people. See, I be coasting. That is my emotion. Ollie in the ring. I float like a butterfly. Stay like a bee. When I was down, they was laughing. Now my cash flow attractive. Generosity is massive. I'm making moves, that's a habit. Silly rabbit, them tricks are a hazard. Defend myself if I have to. I'm in the zone taking action. See, I'm the Nipsey of the set. Put me in the game and place your bet. I'm the pastor of the projects. What you expect? I'm grinding till ain't nothing left. They be like, boy, you a mess. I feel you, but I'd rather be blessed. Seven strings on my chest. I hit the altar in the cold case. I call it cold case. I didn't roll from the road race. I'm in the field from the field to my own age. Love God, man, I'm making way. I had a Judas in my circle, but he still ate. I bring my guys with me, everybody gotta play. It ain't no secret, man, I grew up on the lake. Tasting cake, now I just might drop a mixtape about my fame. Myron Pierce, y'all. Coasting. I float like a butterfly. See, I be coasting. That is my emotion. Holly in the ring. I float like a butterfly. Sting like a bee. Yo, coasting by Myron Pierce. Hey, by the way, um, if you have music and you'd like me to air it, hit me up. This is us at onthepondnetwork.com. We carry on the tradition that my big brother William King started about just playing local, right? Highlighting local. And yeah, this is the Big Fish Show, so I had to play a couple of my songs. So no shade on that one. No shade on that one. I want to come back to this. And I think it's very important that um, if we leave this discussion with nothing else, it's this: that when we forgive, that is what positions us to not deviate from our purpose. Okay? And in order to really operate at that level, whether I'm a leader, a mom, a dad, an entrepreneur, a doctor, a student, no matter what it is, the steps to using the F word, forgiveness, when you've been violated, and again, I'm not underplaying anything that has ever happened to you. Heck, I got shot in the face, right? I'm not downplaying any of that. What I'm saying, your life depends on it. Your life depends on it, man. Your purpose depends on your forgiveness of others and your forgiveness of yourself. My forgiveness of myself, right? And if that's going to happen moving forward and using the F word, forgiveness, we have to redefine it. I'm not for a second saying what someone has done to you or what that person did to me is okay. It's not okay to shoot a 41-year-old man with 5 kids who's a business owner who has been in his community giving back for over 20. That's not okay. And it's okay for you to say that that's not okay. But here's what it is saying. It's not saying it's okay. It's saying you don't control my energy anymore. How about that? Let's redefine it. Forgiveness isn't weak. Forgiveness isn't for a sucker. Forgiveness is somebody who understands power. Forgiveness is someone who understands if I don't forgive, I give away my power to the person who transgressed against me, and I'm not on that. It says, forgiveness says, you don't control my energy anymore. You don't control it. I don't know if there's any people out there who practice intermittent fasting, but I do. And there are days, when I will, I'll go 11 to, I won't eat until after 11, and then for the most part, don't eat after 8. So I try to get like this 12 to 16 hour fasting piece in. And oftentimes, like after 11, or maybe, no, probably by like around 1 o'clock, I start feeling my energy level going if I haven't eaten, right? And that's what unforgiveness does. It like lowers your energy level. And we all know that when our energy levels are low, then we're more susceptible to making bad decisions, not seeing the world as it needs to be seen, or whatever. But this is what happens when you and I forgive. We're canceling the debt so that we can get our own credit back. Repeat after me. Forgiveness is not forgetting, it's just freeing. That's all it is. It's freeing. So you're like, okay, Myron, when in the world do I need to forgive? Well, there's something called the three check method. Here's check one. Is holding this stopping my focus? When anytime you and I feel threatened, anytime something happens someone does something against us, we have to do a check. Here's the first check. Is holding on to this stopping my focus? Have I gone from this to this? Have I gone from looking onward to looking backward? Have I gone from looking onward to looking sideways? That is a litmus test for when you and I need to move forward in how we use the F word. That's check number one. Check number two is this: is holding this blocking opportunity? Is it blocking opportunity? You know what? There are so many opportunities that are waiting for you, that are waiting for me, that's knocking at the door. But we can never truly, with integrity, answer the door of opportunity when we have not yet dealt with unforgiveness. Here's check number three: is holding this worth more than my future? That's a big one right there. Ooh, that's a big one. That's a big one. I can end the whole big fish show right there. Is holding this, nurturing this, is it worth more than my future? And if we can answer that, if we can answer those three checks, then we're on to something. Because if it fails, if this check, if you fail the any one of those checks, two out of three of those checks, it's time to forgive and just move different. In 2025, man, it's time to move different. Man, I had to have a lot of come to Jesus parties, man, to keep it a buck. I've had to have a lot of, because I don't know about you, but man, I hold on to stuff longer than I should. I really do. Right? Stuff that has happened to me with people in my past or whatever, and this, that, and the third. And the reality is that if I hold on, if I don't see these three checks, is holding this stopping my future, is holding this blocking my opportunity, is holding this worth more than my future. If I can't do that check, then I can't move forward. I just can't. So the question then becomes, whether I'm an entrepreneur, whether I'm a mom, whether I'm a dad, um, whether I work a 9 to 5, whether I have a new startup or a nonprofit or whatever it is, whatever capacity you're in. I'm telling you, if you're living, breathing, and have a belly button, there are going to be opportunities for you to be transgressed against, seen wrong, done wrong. But you and I cannot control that. And I'm gonna keep it real with you, man. I'm a control freak, man. And if we're honest, a lot of us entrepreneurs and leaders, like, we want to be in control of every single thing. It's impossible, man. It's impossible. And so if we're going to forgive tactically, here's what we have to acknowledge. We have to say, check this out. We have to say what happened out loud. Here's what I'm saying. You have to own your truth. Whether it's out loud or whether it's in a journal, you have to voice it. Whatever you and I fail to voice, it remains powerful over us. So we have to choose to stop reliving the hurt story in our minds. There's a lady who I admire, and she says that the mind is a battlefield. It's a battlefield. It really is. And that battlefield requires us to make sure that we don't die in the process because we're holding on to things that are happening to us. Yes, do the check. Yes, forgive tactically by saying, "Hey, this is what happened to me." When you and I like give voice to it, right? When we redefine forgiveness, when we use the three check method, when we forgive tactically by like saying out loud, like, this is where I hurt, this is what happens to me, then I'm telling you, there is a release. There's a release that happens. And it would be very advantageous for any of us, me, you, all of us, that we would create a ritual of release, whether we write what happened to us, throw it away and burn it, whatever we have to do. But rituals can help lighten our spirit. Forgiveness rituals that I'm just explaining today, redefining forgiveness, the three check method, forgiving tactically by acknowledging how you and I have been hurt. That's what matters. And your soul, my soul, is too important to leave this unchecked. It's too many. There are too many possibilities for you and for me. There's so much ahead of us. You know, that rear view in your car, on both sides of your car, you know, if you look at that as an analogy, you can either, and I can either focus on the rear view, or we can focus on what's right in front of us. And I'm not saying that we don't look in the rear view, because that keeps us from getting into more accidents per se. But the reality is we have to move forward. And moving forward doesn't mean that you ignore. It means that you and I forgive so that we can stay within the bounds of our purpose. So here's my question to you and to me. And this is powerful. And I've given you some ways to use this. But the question is, who do I need to forgive today? Mark, how do I do it? Let's redefine. Let's redefine forgiveness. That's number one. Let's redefine it, right? How do I redefine it? Redefining forgiveness is simply saying, you don't control my energy now anymore. Using the three check method of, is holding this stopping my focus? Is holding this blocking my opportunity? Is holding this worth more than my future? Choosing to forgive tactically by opening our mouth and owning our truth and deciding, this is where I got hurt, but this person no longer owes me anything. I forgive the debt. Who is it today that you and I need to forgive? Because we can choose to stop reliving the hurt story in our minds by choosing today to forgive. Because choosing today to forgive is saying yes to your purpose. If you're feeling engaged and this is helping you in your journey, do me a favor and share your story via DM, or write, if you're on social, write in the comment section your forgiveness story, or maybe your unforgiveness story. Because there's something powerful about sharing in community, especially with this 95.7 The Boss community. You may say, "Hey, Myron, I'd like to touch base a little bit more." Well, hey, give me a call, give me a shout, email it. This is us at onthepondnetwork.com. Because I don't want your future derailed. I don't want my future derailed. Our purpose is too important to allow unforgiveness to be king in our life. I hope this was absolutely helpful. I want you to join me next week on the Big Fish Show for more conversation. After all, it's not just about business. It's about making sure that you bring forth the best version of you so that you can be a dynamic entrepreneur, so that you can be a mogul in your own right, so that you can be the leader, the person, the individual, the human being that you know you can be. And I'll land with this. Unforgiveness is a potential stopper. Think about that. It's a potential stopper and blocker. And you don't want that for you. So here's your challenge. Who do you need to forgive today? And if you're feeling like you want to share, please do so. Thank you for joining me on the Big Fish Show. It's dedicated to unlocking entrepreneurial potential, dedicated to making sure that your life, my life, gets better. If this has blessed you, feel free to share the stream. Feel free, if you're on the 95.7 The Boss app, to share the app. Or maybe to text or call a friend and say, hey, go on social media, go on 95.7 The Boss, or go find Myron Pierce on any social media channel and go back and watch this, because this is vital. Have a great Sunday. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Bye.